Hey, what's happening, people? Yeah, Nobody 2. That is what we have just taken a look at. So, what is what's the gist with this new one? It is directed by Timo Tjahjanto. It is written by Aaron Rabin and Derek Kolstad. The film is then produced by Mark Proviserio, Bob Odenkirk, Kelly McCormick, David Lech, Brandon Aftergood. It is executive produced by David Hyman and co-produced by Elizabeth Randalsdottir and Paul Barry. Dominic Lewis took care of the music. We have Callan Green on cinematography. Elizabeth Randalsdottir, she also edits the piece. Okay. Production design is Michael Dinner. Art direction, we have Kazina Markovo and Peter Uchata. Nancy Arnold, Megan Barriute, and Eric Gerland took care of set decoration. Costume design, we have Patricia J. Henderson. Hair, makeup, all of that jazz. We've got Lexi Fabino, Kirsty Gregg, Kelly Harmon, Brenda Johnson, Rice Massey, Doug Morrow, Kalia Perry, Lee Ryle, Gahamo Shodala, Margarita Valles, and Kim Wright. We have got Now I would assume that our stunt, yes. We got Neil Adams, Marcus Aurelio. Oh, I believe he used to be an MMA fighter. Lloyd Bateman, Jason Bell, Robert Burgos, Curtis Barconia, Mig Bunner-Cruz, Tristan Carluccio, Raquel Curzo, Anish Shafar, Maxime Colon, Aaron Delaney, Christopher Damia, Matt Enig, Jessica Furman, Simon Garant, Daniel Graham, Graham Guthrie, Megan Hoy, Kirk A. Jenkins, Kevan Cass, Jake Kenned, Joe LaBelle, Canu Lamb, Cody Layden, Alexander McMillan, Charles Mark, Kyle McLean, Michael Moy, Kyle Murillo, Carson Nastras, Rochelle Okoye, Derek Popalaski, Ming Kui, Greg Rementa, Sam Robinson, Vincent Rofer, Jackson Rosario, Sandy Scott, Rick Skeen, Sean Skeen, Crystal Snow, Caleb Spilliards, Ryan Stelmusker, Anders Strom, Jeff Strom, Dimitri Tusi, Nicholas J. Verdi, BJ Verroot, and Brennan Wolfstrom. They all took care of our stunts. So, yeah, we have them to thank for our action, right? So, the cast. Who is up in this? Well, returning, we have Bob Odenkirk as Hutch Mansell, Connie Nielsen as his wife Becca. We have got RZA as his brother Harry. Right? There's Christopher Lloyd as his dad David. And then we have got Brady's son, played by Gage Munroe, and Sammy, his daughter, played by Paisley Cadorath. So they're all returning. Now, joining them this time around, there is John Ortiz as Wyatt Martin. His son Max is played by Lucius Hoyos. There is Sheriff Abel, played by Colin Hanks. We have got the Barber, played by Colin Salmon. Deputy Dan, played by Jacob Belair. Cartouche, played by Daniel Bernard. Toby, played by David McInnes. We've got David Lawrence Brown as a government agent. Denisha Lelabique is another government agent. Wild Bill Martin, played by Rodrigo Belfus. Callum Anderson is our tour guide. Alec Carlos is the boat driver. And Zara Longe is the hot dog waitress. I wondered who that was. Now, Sharon Stone. Oh my god, Sharon Stone is Lenanda. And she was tremendous. Yeah. The gist of the story: suburban dad Hutch Mansell, a former lethal assassin, is pulled back into his violent past after thwarting a home invasion, setting off a chain of events that unravels secrets about his wife Becca's past and his own. Yeah, that's not the... I don't even know what the fuck that is. I think that's the first film, right? That's not what went down in the second film. That is odd. Very, very odd. All right, let's find a better what shall we go with? Okay, let's take a look at this. Bob Odenkirk returns as suburban husband, father, and workaholic assassin Hutch Mansell in the new chapter To Nobody. 4 years after he inadvertently took on the Russian mob, Hutch remains 30 million in debt to the criminal organization and is working it off with an unending sting of hits on international thugs. Much as he likes the slam bang action of his job, Hutch and his wife Becca find themselves overworked and drifting apart, so they decide to take their kids on a short getaway to Wild Bill's majestic Midway water park, the one and only place where Hutch and his brother Harry went on vacation as kids. With Hutch's dad in tow, the family arrives in the small tourist town of Plummerville, eager for some fun in the sun. But when a minor encounter with some town bullies yanks the family into the crosshairs of a corrupt theme park operator and his shady sheriff, Hutch finds himself the focus of the most unhinged, bloodthirsty crime boss he has ever encountered. Dum dum. So yeah, that, people, is Nobody 2. Now, Nobody 1, man, that felt like it came from nowhere. It felt like it came from nowhere, right? I don't know how I stumbled on this film because now I never watched Better Call Saul. Right? I watched Breaking Bad, haven't finished it yet. I'm on the last season. So I knew who Bob Odenkirk was, but obviously I've seen him in other things and he's very good. But yeah, I forget how I stumbled on Nobody. I don't know if it was, a podcast maybe, or I just was looking for something and, just stumbled in. But Nobody One was fantastic, right? It was just unexpected. You know what I mean? I would never have thought Bob Odenkirk would be an action star. So yeah, it was fantastic. Loved it. Loved every minute of it. Now, when they go, we're making a sequel, there's a bit of you that's like, yes. And another bit of, do we need that? Right? Do we need that? Can it be good? Can it be good? Because, it feels like we're pushing our luck that all the John Wicks have been a lot of fun. Because you just think, surely the next one can't be as good. And then it comes out and it's just like, yeah, this is fucking great. And, the Continental sucked, right? So it's like, it's not just anything John Wick works, right? Ballerina was decent. Wasn't quite John Wick, but that was decent. Love Hurts. It was okay, but it wasn't, John Wick. It wasn't up to that standard. Now, The Fall Guy, I enjoyed The Fall Guy. Right? I thought that was a lot of fun. So, 87 North, they've, not everything they do is great, but, they're pretty friggin' solid. So you just think, right, it might not be incredible, but it shouldn't be terrible. And, yeah, I would say that's what Nobody 2 is. Right? I don't think it's up there with the first film. Right? I think that's trying to catch lightning in a bottle twice. Right? Yeah, so it's not quite there. But we do get, there's a lot of action. There's a lot of fights, which are, fun. We have some fun fights and everything. I think the thing with Nobody 2 is the story is a little bit, it doesn't feel as strong. Now, obviously, right, you just go, okay, but I don't even recall a death, right? I know in the first film he burns it down, right? But yeah, I'm just like, a death? Huh, okay. But it's just a bit like doing all of that kind of feels more like they just want him to kill for them. Right? So there's something in that, right? But it's just, he's going on these missions and they always turn out to be, crazier than he's been briefed. Which is just a bit like, right? Because you just go, okay, well, obviously, it's not just going to be, there's going to be more people turning up, and there's more people turning up, and more people. And it's just a little bit, stretching at things, it seems. But you're just like, all right, it's to get us to the point where he is, I need a break. Right? So you're like, okay. Let's see. But you just know, right? The break ain't going to be a break. So it's just like, okay, so how are they going to, do all of this? And it makes sense, right? The violence on holiday does make sense, especially if anyone did that to your kid, you're gonna be like, yo, motherfucker, what? So all of that is fine. It makes sense. I think the minute Sharon Stone comes into the piece, that's when it gets uber interesting, because she plays deranged with aplomb. What she does with Leander is crazy, right? She's a pretty good villain. You know what I mean? She gives us something, dancing and just off on one. She kind of reminded me a bit like Rotted. I can't think of Homie's name in True Romance. That dude, the crazy one. Yeah, she kind of reminds me of a female version of him. And it's a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun, right? I do like her two little sidekicks as well. They were good, right? They kicked a lot of butt. So they were fun hench people to have around. So that kind of stuff, that all worked, right? And it just got interesting, especially when, right, we bring in the shift in dynamics, right? That all, then you're like, okay, all right, let's see how this plays out, right? I thought Colin Hanks is very good at a piece of shit, right? A piece of shit sheriff. So he's very good. And I think the second half of the film is stronger. It does kind of come together more. Right? I did like that we got kind of a tonal shift with our bad guys, right? There's the Leander tone. We've got the Wyatt Martin tone, right? The Abel tone. There's a slight difference in, those environments, how they're lit and put together. I think to kind of, just show the derangement of each of our bad people. I think also we have like the situation with, Becca, his wife. And like it starts off being stereotypical and then they give us a slight shift. I did appreciate the shift, right? Because I think if it had gone the typical route, it would have just been a bit like, ugh, boy, what are we doing? Because it is one of those things, right, where when you kind of know who someone is, like, how are you really getting that pissed off? You know what I mean? Because you know what it is. You know what you're getting into. So you're either doing it because you're fine with it, right? Or you've learned to cope with it. But to be like, I wanted you to, you know what I mean? It's all a bit like that. So I appreciated how they handled that situation. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's not bad, and I'll definitely feel like the as we get that second half, it's kind of one of those things of let's see what fun ways we can fuck people up with. You know, so it got a little bit like that. And yeah, it's always funny watching people die. Okay, now that did sound kind of messy, right? What I mean is, in films, I'm not like, you know, you're watching snuff videos and shit. No. I mean, in films, you know what I mean? Like, what is a crazy... Like in John Wick, when he kills someone with a book, right? You're just like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? It's kind of... It's amusing. That's amusing, right? So, you know, it made me chuckle. Made me chuckle, people. So, yeah. Nobody 2. Not quite nobody. Right? But, you know, decent. Like, the director, we did look at one of his films, The Shadow of Strays, last year. And, you know, he's done some of the, he's, you know, filmed some segments in the VHS anthologies. So, you know, we kind of looked at his work before, and it was solid. You know what I mean? It is solid. He's a solid director. I wouldn't say we got anything revolutionary here, but functionally, it fit the purpose. It worked. So, yeah, if you liked Nobody 1, right? It's not quite there, but you will like this. You know, I think if you liked Love Hurts, you'll like this. If you enjoyed... What's that Norwegian one? Simu. Sisu. Yes, if you enjoyed Sisu, The Fall Guy, you know what I mean? Just those kind of films, I think Nobody 2 will work for you. So yes, it is now doing its thing in the Cinematheque, right? So yeah, if you want to be able to switch off, right? Just have... Actually, how long is this? I think it's just under 2 hours, I believe, right? It's something like that. Yeah, it's 89 minutes, right? So if... No, that's not just under 2 hours, right? It's just under an hour and a half. So yeah, if you, you know, want something and it's not overly long, right? It's the right length, because it couldn't be longer. If it was too long, you would get bored, you get tired, you'd find this is repetitive. You know what I mean? So if you want something quick, right? Something mindless, something fun, then Nobody 2 should hit the ticket. Hit the ticket, hit the docket, hit the target. I don't know, whatever the phrase is, it will do it. So people, yeah, that is Nobody 2. Let me know, what did you think? Did you enjoy it as much as the second one? Did you think it, you know, held up? Like, what do you think about a third? Right? There's, I realize they probably want to try and make this into a franchise. I don't know if we need a third. Or if we do a third, it needs a really good hook, right? A really good reason to be. But yeah, let me know your views, people. Nobody 2.